Hey, how are you all? Back again for a late night stream. Gonna be a pretty dry stream. Everyone's like, boo, boo, tell us about the dead people. No. Today we're gonna talk about procedure. Oh, that's a sexy topic. Procedure and laws. I can just hear all the ladies getting hot and bothered right now. Um, we're going to talk about what you can expect to hear, and what kind of media coverage are you going to get out of this Aaron Patterson trial? I feel like I've sort of over talked it a little bit, and I feel like it's my responsibility to sort of set the record straight about what kind of coverage do you get in Australia? And I want to make it absolutely clear about what you could expect. It's sort of different to America. In America, you can in America, I can say what my opinion is. My opinion's protected by uh, you know, the amendment. So I've got free speech. I can say whatever I want. Um, Australia doesn't really have that like we do, and there is protection of the press, but it's different when you're dealing with covering a court case or covering a trial, especially in Victoria, where I live and where Aaron Patterson's trial is located. So as you can see on the screen right here, this is from the Supreme Court in Victoria, and what this is a very brief guide. So this is a very brief guide into covering the Supreme Court in Victoria. It's not a complete list. It's not even a what I would consider like an in-depth. It is the bare bones. It is basically telling you your responsibilities if you do want to cover any type of trial or legal thing in the Supreme Court. Now, one of the big differences is this: you are allowed water bottles in the court, but you're not allowed to eat. So you can bring a water bottle. That's good news. Stay hydrated, even in the Supreme Court. But some of the things like this, like use of technology within the court, devices must be on silent and used discreetly. You can't take photos in court or record any proceedings. You can request things like transcripts and remote access by the live stream, something I am looking at. Um, it, Things like this, you can use a laptop, phone, or tablet within the courtroom, but it must be on silent and must be used in a way that's not disruptive to the court. So far, so good, right? These all sound like things that probably would happen in America too. We get to the subject of subjudice. Now, that is a thing that happens quite a lot in Victoria. It is a thing that the courts down here have struggled with in the age of social media, live streaming, and things like that. It's a subject that they haven't quite understood or found a really good way of dealing with it. So the way they sort of deal with it is this: if you are to cover a case in the Supreme Court, or you're a journalist and you want to go and cover a section of a trial for your job, you have a responsibility to be impartial. You cannot be like, that bitch is guilty. I seen her. She's guilty as hell. No, like you can't be like that. This is not HLN. You can't be like that. Your reporting basically has to be anything that's said in front of the jury. You have to repeat it verbatim. You can't like sort of add your own twist on it. You can't be like, let me give you an example. So I don't want to give you an example of Aaron Patterson because we're so close to trial, and it would actually be subjudice of me to do so. Um, just any trial, and I said to you, oh, I went to the court today and there's a woman on trial. She stole all this money from her work. What do you guys think about that? Like, you can't do that. The correct way to pronounce this would be something like a 37-year-old woman is accused and standing trial right now in the Supreme Court of Victoria or Melbourne, and on a charge of X, Y, and Z. It has to really be that black and white. There is not a lot of room here for leeway. There's other things you have to be careful of. Any kind of legal any kind of legal discussions between the legal teams, defense, prosecution, and the judge, I don't think you can report on, because normally it's not said in front of the jury. Any kind of it's basically anything that's not presented to the jury. So if it's something that you hear or overhear, something that happens outside of court, outside when the jury's not in the rooms, you hear legal discussions about certain evidence. You can't repeat this. It is you are duty bound by the sub judice law that you can't repeat this stuff. There's a bunch of other examples too. So, where if you were a media company, which I do fall under for me, unfortunately, any prior reporting you're supposed to take down. So anything that links back to prior reporting that that may cause the jury to be poisoned, basically, you're supposed to remove. You're supposed to take any links down, things like that. It is quite strict. It is not an easy thing to cover in Victoria. That's why you don't see a lot of live streamers like what I do. There's not a lot of people that do this, and that's why a lot of people like me, like Hella, like a bunch of other people from Australia, we don't tend to cover Australian cases at trial because it's boring. I'm not saying like it's the legal system shouldn't be fun, but at the same time, it's so cut and dry because of these laws. And what are they used for? So they're there to protect the trial. They're to protect the jury. They're to protect the defendant. They are due a fair trial, and anything that could corrupt that, you can be basically dragged into court via your reporting and basically issued a please explain to the judge overseeing whatever case you are covering. And if you can't explain yourself, there's jail time, there's fines, big fines. So one of the things they often say down here is, oh, I don't know if it's in this one. Suppression. Yeah, so you have things like suppression orders. It's up to the journalist. The court doesn't have to notify you that there are any active suppression orders. You should reach out and check first before you issue any article, video, reporting on Twitter or anything like that. It says here, breaching a legal requirement or court order can and has led to penalties for both journalists and media outlets. The court cannot provide legal advice on interpreting orders or legal obligations. Journalists should speak to their organization's lawyers. And if you go down here, they basically tell you that when in doubt, leave it out. Report fairly and accurately. Don't imply guilt or innocence or attribute allegations. Be careful not to attribute the party's legal arguments to the judge. Even if the judge recites or summarizes them, it may not mean they have accepted them. Court reporting is reporting what you hear. Analysis is for when the matter has been resolved. So, unlike in America, I can't give you what I think. And we had this when we did the trial last year. So when we did the trial in the Victorian Supreme Court last year, we did the two elderly campers who were murdered. A lot of people kept telling me how boring the coverage was, and I was like, I wish I could tell you more, but I legally can't tell you anything. I can't even give you my like what I think, like what I thought of the evidence, what I thought of the trial, until he was found guilty, innocent, XYZ, and it's going to be the same with Aaron Patterson. The reporting here could get very interesting, and that's the word I'm going to use right now. It could get a little hairy come Monday. So I will do my absolute best to inform you where I am legally able to, and where I am legally not able to, I will not be able to provide any explanation as to why I cannot. Like, I can't even tell you why not. Like, it's a weird thing. All I can tell you is direct you to this and say, read the court rules. I can't say, oh, this is because this was said today and it breaks X, Y, and Z. I can't even tell you that. There's a, it's sort of like pretrial reporting. So there's been a bunch of pretrial stuff with Aaron. I know what it is, but again, I can't. I think I've said it a few times over the last few weeks. I can't tell you any of it. Does it impact the case? Who knows? We'll find out at the end. We'll find out when this is all said and done, and then I'll be able to tell you what I know. But until then, I am not able to. So yeah. So some of the things here. What is subjudice contempt of court? Uh, Concerns material which may interfere with or prejudice legal proceedings, especially a jury trial. If a person pled guilty or is found guilty, subjudice contempt is no longer an issue. So if someone has been found guilty by the jury, you can now report that subjudice contempt is now thrown out the window unless there is a suppression order in force that has not been lifted by the court. Um, if a person comes to court and changes their plea and is pleading guilty, you can then report on it after the judge has accepted that plea and basically closed out the proceedings. Then you can actually start, analysis and what happened and XYZ. And so here, things to be mindful of include during a jury trial, don't report anything said in absence of the jury, including legal argument and court arrangements. Literally court arrangements. So I couldn't tell you if we're in court A, B, 27, oh, we had to move because juror 27 got sick. Like, no, you can't report any of this. Linking to old articles. So we have to probably stop doing that. We probably should have stopped doing that a while ago. Revealing prior convictions or further pending charges. This is very interesting, and in the future, I'll explain why. Interviews with witnesses and republishing interviews from the time of arrest. So, why this is an issue is sometimes when you have someone who has been arrested and you see them, getting in handcuffs with police, and it projects an image to a possible jury member that this person's already guilty. This person's already a bad person because the police have arrested them. So that's why you can't do that. Using images or video which are not part of evidence. Explainers, we are doing one tonight, but it's not based on the case. Reads, comment pieces about a specific case or related topic ahead or during a trial. So I was actually going to do a Aaron Patterson explainer, but after seeking some legal counsel over the last 24 hours, I can no longer do that. So we will not be allowed to do that until the end of trial now. So I hope you understand why. What else here? It says, evidence or comments ruled inadmissible even when said in front of a jury. Requests for and hearings of criminal case conferences and sentencing indications. So these are like criminal case conferences are sort of like where it's sort of like pretrial but different, and sentencing indications. They're like those pre-reports that tend to they happen like a few weeks before sentencing. It's sort of like discounts and why they should have a lower sentence and stuff like that. What the prosecution would like, what the defense would want, that type of thing. All right, where else are we going? So what is contempt? Yeah, concerns material which impacts the authority and functioning of the court, including interrupting a hearing, ignoring judicial directions, or breaching orders, and unfounded criticism. Oh, if lunch is terrible at the courthouse, I don't know if I can hold back. Here. So there's a bunch of different like legislation that you can be found under for other reporting too. So any victim that is an alleged sexual offense cannot be identified. So any victim, doesn't matter age, doesn't matter anything, they cannot be reported on. Again, here, the Children, Youth, and Families Act, anyone under 18 at the time of the alleged offense cannot be identified. Identification includes more than just a person's name, it is any combination of details which could lead to the person being recognized. They actually go out on a limb here and try and make this like very clear that you don't have to say things like Aaron Patterson. You could say something like, "Oh, that woman with mushrooms and in the southeast of Victoria," and you'd all be like, "Southeast Victoria? Oh, that's that woman." Like you can't do things like that to get around a naming. So you all may be wondering why I am telling you all this. And if you haven't gathered already, I can't tell you why. It's one of those things I literally can't tell you why I'm doing this video, but I'm doing it to give you a greater insight into just how this may work, some things that will happen, some things that may not happen, like we don't know. Um, you know, it's going to be a weird week. There's a lot of different stuff that'll happen. There'll be some things I can tell you about. There's some things I will not be able to tell you about. And yeah, it could get very interesting. I don't know how this is all going to work. And it's my first time going out to such a small court. This courthouse out in Morwell is tiny. It is it is a rural courthouse. It is not very big. It is literally done for like small time local court cases in the Latrobe Valley. It is like a satellite courthouse. It is not a major Supreme Court. The one in Melbourne is massive. You could fit like 200 people. Marjorie said, "Can you tell us when this thing that can't be talked about is going to start?" It has already started. So it started weeks ago, months ago. Anytime we had these pre-trial hearings, that is part of all this. So it has already started. I probably should have been a little more aware, and you know, I'm quite aware of what I can and can't report, but sometimes we all get caught up in the moment. But as we come closer to the trial, got to really just make sure we're playing by the rules. Gayla says, "Could you let us know what small town jails are like?" So I don't know. I've never been in one, but I would say I don't even know the arrangement. So Aaron Patterson right now is in a prison in Melbourne. Which one? Again, you heard it here. I can't name it, but she's not near this particular courthouse, so she'll have to be transferred out there. Um, I don't know how that is. The transfer is going to work every day. I don't know if she's going to be out there for 5 days and taken back. Who knows? That is up for the corrections Victoria to do. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I wanna find out what the jail is like. But look, that doesn't mean there's no information that comes from trial, though. It just means that it's not like it is in America. That, like, so I think we all get very used to how American trials work, and I've covered hundreds of them, and I know it's very easy to just fall into that same thing all the time. It's like, "Oh, we're gonna get a live stream, and we're gonna see, like, autopsy photos and things like that." Um, yeah, it's not gonna be like that. It's a lot more tightly guarded here. Now, I being that I did not go to any pre-trial hearings, I only know about 1% of everything that happened between what, like February last year and right now. So I don't even have anything that interesting to tell you, even if I could. But there's been, obviously a year's worth of different things that have happened, and between the last time we saw any media on this case and Monday. So who knows what we'll see when we walk in Monday morning? Have no idea. It's a mystery to ping. But yeah, so this is sort of like the etiquette, deciding what to cover. Here, like they say here, some matters are not open to the public or media, such as criminal case conferences. Certain police applications, like DVOs, are not open to the public normally. Mediations, which are between two parties trying to resolve a matter, and matters where there is a closed court order, normally restricted for something where there's a sensitive witness or some reason for the court to be closed due to security, sensitivity. Who knows? It could be a bunch of different reasons. Um, yeah, so this is basically a very brief guide. Like I said, reporting on the court, a brief guide. It is a very brief guide. This is not even everything. There are multiple legislations that you have to check into, multiple acts in Victoria that are reporting on different things you have to be careful of. So, here, the Juries Act in the year 2000. Don't identify or approach jurors or those attending for jury service. Be careful not to include them in footage taken outside the court, something I will have to be very wary of. Don't publish anything said in jury room deliberations if you do hear anything. Sometimes people will talk to you and they'll say, "Oh, I heard this, I heard that." You can't report on this. Restricts publications identity. So if there's any family violence protection, you can't report on it either. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. So please watch it. Yeah. So these are sort of the things that you have to be very careful of, being someone who covers trials in Victoria and the wider Australia, where breaking anything of this list could land you in jail, could land you with a massive fine or more. So, oh, that's actually a very good question, Kathy. Yes, that is yes, very much so. So in Australia, when we tend to have things like court reporting, there's no comments on a lot of the videos about reporting from live trials. So if you've ever tried to watch a video out of Australia for a live trial, you'll often notice that there is no comments underneath the video or article. And there's a reason for this. It is because the publications or media that put out this content are responsible for the details from users who post in the comment section, in a chat, or in reply to that media. So you'll often find that a lot of these people will just shut down the comments, shut down the comment, shut down the chat. Will I have to do that? I don't know yet. I suspect very possibly. There's a good possibility we will not have a active live chat when I am live, but I'm taking more legal advice on what we can do with that, whether I have to do that or there's a way that I can filter out and keep it within the law. I don't know yet. I'm seeking legal advice about this. So, but most definitely that after the video has premiered, the comments will be turned off. But I don't know about live chat. I'm not sure how that works, and I'm asking a media lawyer that I know, that we're working through it. So we're having a look at what's been done in the past, what's happened in Victoria before, are there any precedents, that type of thing. So it'll take us a couple of days to work through it and have a look. But there's a possibility there'll be no live chat, no comments underneath the video. SP Mama says, "Why are the rules so strict? Is it to protect harm of the accused?" It's sort of twofold. It is to protect the accused and give them a fair trial. It is also to try and stop pollution of the jury. And what do you mean by this? So, say you're in a trial in Victoria or Australia and you are selected for jury duty. It is very difficult in today's day and age to have a jury come in from 9 to 5 and then send them home without sequestering them and then be like, "Hey, person who spent all day in court, don't go look anything up online. Don't go look at any influencers on the internet. Don't go to YouTube. Don't listen to Ping," because they just naturally will. They'll go on TikTok, they'll go on Twitter, anything that will happen. As much as they'll say they won't do it, they'll abide by the court. Of course, they're going to. They want to hear what the coverage is going on surrounding the trial that they're a part of, and that places the onus onto the media, me, to try and prevent the pollution of their mind with anything that I produce. So, yeah, it's a little convoluted, and I don't fully agree that it's the best solution to this problem. I think there may be better ways of dealing with it, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a I'm not a court, assistant. By the way, can I just say that the Supreme Court media team are some of the most lovely people I've ever spoken to. They are kind. They are very sweet. They explain things. They assume that you may not know, but they make it very loud and clear on certain things, and they are very nice people. So I've reached out to them a number of times over the like last couple of years, and every time I've had dealings with the media team, either in the magistrate, the supreme, or the state supreme or superior, whatever it is. We got three levels. Um, they're all great. They're all lovely people. They just don't want you getting in trouble, and they're very nice people. So I've had nothing but lovely contact with all three levels of our justice system and their media teams. They're great people. So they have like a whole team that runs their media access and you know things like that. They just can't give legal advice. They're not lawyers, but they can point you in some directions and be like, "Hey, have a look at this, and you should be aware of X, Y, and Z." So they are good people. I've dealt with them a few times, but yeah, this is not something that they gave me. I just want to make that clear. This is something that I'm showing you that I try and constantly refresh and look at. And there's another one I'll show you. This is one of the other. Is this the other one? Oh yeah, this is. Sorry. So it's like local, county, and Supreme Court. So here's the other one. So this is if you are covering the lower level in the county court. This is basically their media guide. It is a very brief overview of if you were covering a case in county court, what you should do. And here, here's a good example for you guys, so I can show you. It says, for example, they're talking about how to word things. So the correct way would be: the prosecutor told the jury that the woman snatched a tray of rings. An incorrect way of displaying that would be: the woman snatched a tray of rings. So that's not correct reporting because you're simplifying and not attributing who said that. It's really important in court reporting that you attribute your sentences and like your comments to the correct person, and you don't mess that up. It's one of the things they're really kind of anal about, that you make sure your reporting is accurate and that you attribute the sentences and quotes to the right person. So that's sort of like an example for you there. They say, how do I report a trial before a jury? Yeah. And again, the same rule. The key rule when reporting a trial before a jury is not to report anything that is said in court in the absence of the jury. So before that jury comes in, before they are seated and trial gets underway for the day, you are basically, like earmuffs. You can't report, like it doesn't exist. You may know what happens, you may hear it, but you can't report on it. SP Mama, hey my friend, what happens if reporters outside of Australia report on these things? I don't know. I would suspect that they are not duty bound by Australian laws because they are in a foreign country. But I would say I would say that anytime you transgress a court, you would have a risk of being compelled to come forward if they felt it was egregious enough. So I suspect that if you were an American covering an Australian trial and I don't know, say your name somehow got brought up to the judge and they're like, hey, there's this YouTuber in America who's covering our case here in Australia, but they're saying very prejudicial type stuff. Like they're saying, that guy's so guilty and, we should bring him to America and he should be hung and death penalty and things like that. If your name got brought up, I suspect they could try and compel you to come forward. I don't know if it's legally doable. I'm not sure how that works, but I think anytime you piss off a court, you run the risk of being subpoenaed or something. Um, Kathy Lynch says we don't want you getting into any trouble either. That's why we have retained a lawyer to have a look at a couple of things. So we do have legal advice right now. Do US reporters have to follow rules here in America? Yes. So there are rules in America, but the rules in America are less strict than they are here. That's why you can jump onto something like Law and Crime or Court TV or something like that, and you can get a coverage and analysis on the same day. But you'll notice that the way they speak about trials during the trial is very different than after when they do like a retrospective or some sort of like documentary or something, and they talk very differently. And it's because they are sort of bound by similar laws, they're just not quite as strict. You can get hauled before a court in the USA too if you subjudice a jury. So it's just like there's just more protection around the media and free speech. So you can get away with a little more over there. It's not quite as, yeah, damning as it is here. Um, yeah, so yeah, in summary, reporters should be extremely careful to avoid reporting anything said in the absence of a jury, revealing prior convictions, breaching any suppression orders, reports that imply guilt, innocence of the accused, reports including interviews that could affect witnesses, comments as distinct from reports of the court case, confessions, pictures of the accused where identity is an issue, any contact with jurors. And here they say, if in doubt, seek legal advice. And this is why a lot of papers in Australia, they have entire legal teams that work on this type of thing day in and day out. So oftentimes when they have a court reporter, they'll write up their report for the day and it doesn't go to the masthead, to the editor. It goes to legal, and legal scans over it, make sure they're not in any, they're not in any sort of like gray area, and then it gets published. They don't just publish it. It has to go through legal most times, and their reporting gets checked over for any legal complications. So yeah, that's how it works here. What happens when someone is committed to stand trial? Yeah, we already did that. Reporting on a trial. How do I report on alleged crimes? We already did that. Yeah, this is an interesting one. You may quote the prosecutor, but your report must make it clear that you are quoting someone saying that in court, not stating it as a fact without attributing it. And they say here, yeah, so you have to attribute your quotes to people. You can't be like, "Oh, I heard in court today someone was like that guy was so guilty and oh, he had a knife. He definitely, it was bloody and he was standing next to the body." And then people are like, "Wait, who said that?" The defense said that? Wow, that's dynamite. Who said that? You have to make it very clear who you're reporting on. Yeah, so I thought people kept asking me what were the differences between Australia and America, and this is just a little taste of how strict it can be trying to report on court settings down here. It's why you don't see a lot of like big YouTubers who cover court matters and things like you do in America, because it's just so much harder down here to do it unless you have the backing of a huge multinational paper or you're writing a book or something where your content will come out later. A documentary, you're writing a book, an expose to come out later on. That is fine because it'll come out after the judgment has passed. And there's a little quirk in some of these too, where oftentimes people are charged with like multiple crimes, and that happens quite frequently in court. There's also times where people have like, I don't know, say there's like a guy who murdered someone, but he didn't just murder one person, he murdered like three people or something. And then they were like, well, these are quite large trials. So instead of joining them all together, because we'll be here for 3.5 years, we'll do separate ones. There's certain reporting obligations that you have to be careful of when someone has different trials, but they're sort of linked together. And that's a pretty rare thing. I don't think I've seen that many times, but that comes across every so often. And there's just random things that come up that you have to be mindful of. And um, like they say, if in doubt, seek a legal advice and run it through them first before basically get advice before you act. So if you're unsure of something, don't do it. Get the legal advice first, then commit actions. And as long as you do that, most times you'll be okay. The court really doesn't like it because they don't consider ignorance a defense. So say Ping came on Monday and I take all these notes in court and I come on at 5 o'clock and I'm like, oh, at 9 a.m., we started with this before the jury even came in. And then I run you through literally every sentence that is said in court on Monday. And then the judge is like, wait, wait, we heard the jurors were listening to this last night when they were sent home. Like, who is this guy? Oh, he's got a YouTube channel? Wait, is he here at the trial? He is? Bring him to my freaking chambers tomorrow at like 8:30 in the morning. Make sure he's here. I want to speak to him at 8:30 tomorrow before the trial. He must come to my chambers tomorrow. Like compel him to be here. Um I would just get absolutely screwed over and I couldn't be like, well, I don't know. I'm just a YouTuber. Like I just cover crimes and I didn't know you couldn't do that. It's not a defense, and the court takes a very dim view on anyone trying to use that as a defense. They will you probably get a harsher sentence. That's why they say get advice and then act, because that way at least you could go to the judge and say, "Hey, I did seek legal advice. This is what they told me. They thought it was within X, Y, and Z, and it fit here. This is my argument as to why I did it." And the judge might go, "Well, look, that's actually not the way we see it. We're going to let you off on a warning this time, but please, for the remainder of this trial, we expect you to do better." That would probably be what you get. But if you walk in and be like, "Oh, I don't freaking know, like, I just do this stuff," you'd be going to jail most likely. You'd probably get thrown in jail at least for the weekend. At least for the weekend, and then they might let you out on Monday, but the judge would be pretty pissed off. Oh, you could even be barred from the rest of the trial. Like, they'd just be like, "You're not coming back here." You obviously can't respect the court, so you're not going to cover this trial. We're going to kick you out and put you on a block list. So a lot of different things can happen, and you have to be the onus is on you. It is on the person presenting the media. So there you go. Anyway, I just wanted to make this extremely clear because I've been getting some emails from people. They're like, "Oh my god, this trial's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be like law and crime," and I felt like, wow, did I cause that to be the expectation that people were getting? And I was like, wow, maybe it was me. I have to sort of set the record straight and explain how this all works properly. Like I know in my head, but I haven't actually sat down and told you guys properly how it works. And yeah, that's it. That's how it works. Get to bed? Why do I have to go to bed? I don't work in the mornings. We don't have court tomorrow. We don't have court tomorrow. It's not court till Monday. I don't have court. No, I'm all right. I'm doing fine. But yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. What else did we have? What can we expect? So yeah, I think we've already gone through like what we're going to see on Monday, and it's going to be a bit of a slow day for people who think it's going to be like some sort of dynamite type day. It's going to be somewhat slow. We're going to have court in the morning. Half of the day is going to get taken up probably with instructions to the jury, instructions to the court, a lot of going over rules and what they expect of people and stuff like that. You guys seen it. You have all seen it in other trials like Lori Vallow, where they just spend half a day talking about crazy rules and what you're supposed to do and stuff. That's probably what Monday is going to be. But sometime on Monday, we're going to get those opening statements. Um, as far as I know, I will be able to tell you about them, but there you go, has to apply to this, to this. Wait, it's this way, this way, this way, this stuff here has to apply to this stuff. So, um, yeah, that's it. So as we move into this trial phase, just think back to this video. If you go, wow, Ping's coverage really sucks. Wow, it's really boring. This way. Please refer to Exhibit A. And it's not because I don't want to tell you. It's not because I am wanting to keep information from you. It's because being a Victorian and being someone who lives here where the trial is taking place, I'm duty bound as a member of the media to do this type of stuff. So yeah. Betty C says, hate to say it, but happy to be in the USA, especially for trials. Yeah, we just do it somewhat differently. They're just very protective of innocent until proven guilty. They are just very they just really want to make that as pure as they can. And that includes the jury because the jury is a big part of that process. So to them, it is paramount. It is paramount to have a clean trial. It's paramount not to have interference in the trial. It is the number one thing that they want to get done. And yeah, it's just part of the media's thing down here. Never would we say that about Ping. SP Mama says it's impressive that you're attempting to cover this, and I do hope you get all the goods so after it's over, you can tell us what happened and why. I will, and I promise. As soon as we get a sentence and I get my legal okay to go, I will tell you literally everything I've ever known about Aaron Patterson. And there's some other things that I wish I could tell you. It has nothing to do with the trial at all. I have another project I'm working on. I cannot tell you anything about it right now. I feel like a dick that I can't tell you, but just the whole thing about you can't talk about it till after the trial kind of thing, just keep that in mind. And when Ping says another project, try and think what that might be. I can't tell you what that is, but just have a think about it. And yeah, You will get all the information you could ever handle on Aaron Patterson eventually. Eventually. When we are legally able to. You'll get more than you ever needed to know. We'll tell you what flavor cookies that she loves. No, we won't. We won't do that. SP Mama said, yeah, I agree. Thank you. Wendy asks, how long after trials does the accused receive a sentence? It varies. So it depends what issues there can be between sentencing between verdict and sentencing phase. Can be as quick as a couple of weeks, can be as long as months. It just depends what pre-sentencing reports, what things they need to get into, like what things the judge wants. Are there any outstanding legal matters that have to be taken care of? Um, yeah, so I think roughly it's normally like between 1 month and 2 months is normally the average. But I've seen as quick as a week or two, and I've seen as long as like 3 or 4 months. So with Aaron Patterson, I don't know. I'm not sure. I I think we'll know more as we go through the trial itself, but right now I don't have a clear idea of any of that. Just due to the way the pretrial reporting works, how the media has worked, that type of thing. I just don't know. Hopefully for her sake, for everyone's sake, it's not forever. She has been in jail quite a long time, and I think it would be a good day with the whole innocent until proven guilty thing for everyone and her, for her best interest, you know, that we get this done and figure out what's actually happening here. I think that would be good for everyone involved. It's been a long time, right? We had that first court appearance like what, last year sometime, and now we're in 2025. So it's been a long wait. Although if you look at some of the American cases, like how long did we wait for Evelyn Boswell? How long did we wait for Maggie Boswell? Half a decade. Ping Ping was 35. I was 35 when Evelyn went missing. 35. I was a young man. I was a I was a young man still in my mid-30s at the time, and now I am in my 40s when we finally got a verdict. It's been a long time, half a decade. So, it's not gonna be that long for this one, but yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Um, yeah, so just wanna say, thank you to the Supreme Court of Victoria. Thank you to the Supreme Court media team for all your help. Thank you. You guys have been amazing. Um, thank you to all the people who have supported the channel. I really appreciate it. I will be there. Come rain, hail, or shine, I will be out there. And eventually, I will be able to tell you my story. But for now, we have to abide by the laws of Victoria. And that's just the way it's got to be. But think of it like delayed gratification, because that's what it's going to be. Think of it as delayed. You know, like when you buy something and you're like, oh, I really want that. It's so awesome. And you're like, no, I'm not going to put it on the credit card. I'm going to save for it. And then 2 months later, you buy it and you're like, my God, this was the greatest day ever. This baseball is the best baseball in the world. See what happens when I saved it for myself? It's gonna be like that a little bit. Um, Wendy R says, hopefully she'll never have dinner guests anytime in the future. I don't know, maybe she has them in jail sometimes. Maybe she has dinner parties in jail. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what she does. Maybe she has hula hoop lessons. Maybe she does hula hoop yoga. I don't know. Don't know what she gets up to. She seems like a nice lady. Um, yeah, that's all I have to really tell you about today. I just wanted to make that really clear. There's just been some interesting coverage over the last 24 hours of this, and I just feel like it's all going a little bit hurricane. Like it's just starting to get a little stormy, and there's a little bit of hurricane coming, and I wanted to get ahead of the hurricane. So I hope this makes it very clear what you should expect. And and I think I've gone over this before, how the difference in Australia is that it's sort of like you can't really have an opinion. That's sort of the basis for it. It's not the entirety of what this is, but the simplest way to say it is that you can't really have an opinion as such. Your reporting has to be just whatever is said in court, that's how you repeat it. It can't be like your interpretation of it. It just has to be like Mr. A said this, Mrs. B said this. The jury heard Mrs. B say this. Like that's just sort of how it is. So um, that's why you often find court reporting in Victoria and Australia a little dry. So we'll get there. We'll get there. I promise. I will. I would never let you all down. And we've been going through this for almost 2 years now. Almost 2 years we've been following this. So even if, like I said, the gratification won't be in the next couple of weeks, it will come eventually. It will, I promise. And there are some fun things going to happen in the future, and you're going to be very happy with them. It just not now, not right now. Wendy R said, "I'm surprised reporters can maintain enough control to keep their mouth shut for so long." Well, you just sort of have to. It's like this. It's like I could tell you all the juicy details, or I could go to jail and lose my job. Like, there is no middle ground. There's no, like, I could tell you some details and maybe get a fine. It's like, I'm gonna lose my job, and then I'm gonna get dragged before the court for subjudice. So, Betty Cease is not your fault, just assumptions. I know. But look, this is the first time I've done a full one. I've done a couple of Australian trials remotely. I've never done one in person, so it's a little bit of a stepping stone for me too. Like I'm learning what you can and can't do, how much of a deeper gaze that you end up getting if you go and appear in person. You are going to be in the spotlight. So you screw up and the judge will drag you over the coals. Like it's not a joke. Like so got to just take it very seriously. Yeah. SP Mama says, "Thank you for explaining it. I had no idea being American how different this is in other countries." Yeah, and the UK is not that much different either. The UK has slightly different laws around reporting trials, but it's not that different. They have similar subjudice laws in the UK too. They're just applied slightly differently. And that makes sense because Australian law comes from the UK. We're part of the Commonwealth. Our mother country is the UK. So it's no surprise that most of our legal system, although now it is a modern version of the original inception of it, the majority of it, like the basis of it, comes from the UK. So you'll often find a lot of similarities between the UK and Australia. Not so much between Australia and Canada. Canada, while part of the Commonwealth, is not connected to Australia in that way, but we are connected to the UK. But yeah, Canada's slightly different. They have sort of a weird mix of American and UK. They sort of have this weird mix of the both. SP Mom says it's 7:27 here in Montana. I went to bed listening to you, woke up and saw you live. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the channel. I work extremely hard on this, and I hope you can see that even when the stream is not on, I'm still working in the background. And especially when we're doing such a big thing like this trial, it's just mountains of hours. Like, I went to go get my hair cut earlier, and I was sitting in the salon working the whole time, like, making phone calls and talking to people and reaching out to our legal advice and showing them stuff and being like, "Hey, we got this. What does this mean? Can we do this? No? Okay, well, what if we did that?" Like, it's hours and hours and hours of work, and I'm just one guy, like, I'm just me. A lot of other people have producers and directors and editors and stuff it's just me here. Although I do have a lot of nice people who help, with stories and moderating and things like that, but the actual production of this channel is majority me. It's me on my own, and I'm just a one-man band. So it's basically a full-time job on its own. And you guys get a lot of content every week, so I hope everyone enjoys it. I really do. Time for Mrs. P to join in. I don't think she wants to. Not with how she's feeling anyway. Um, Maybe when she's better, she might do some more stuff with you guys. But with the way she's feeling at the moment, I don't think it's possible. She's just so unwell. It's just, you know, the last thing you want to do when you don't look your best, when you don't feel your best, is to be thrown onto a live stream and be like, "Hey, talk about a case that you don't know anything about." Like, I don't think she would enjoy that. She would be like, "Get me out of here." Wendy else says, "Appreciate you, Ping. We hear a lot of stories from you that no one else covers." That's what I love. I love to bring the stories that other media channels just won't cover, and because they're not sexy enough, they're not fun enough, they don't have the big enough like following online or whatever. Like, I don't care about any of that. I don't care about subscribers and all this crap. Like, I do, but it's very secondary to actually telling the stories. I will sit here with my 1,000 subscribers for the next 10 years and do the same thing. I don't care. I want to tell the stories that matter. Like Laurie Page. So few people picked up that story, and it's so important. I mean, when you cover girls of color or boys of color, it's something that people within true crime really need to make an effort to level the playing field and do their bit to actually cover these stories and give them fair representation in the media and the new media like YouTube. It means a lot to me. I really do try very hard to be very equal in my coverage. So if I cover some white girls, I'll cover some missing black girls or something like. I'll try and cover some Asian ladies or whatever, like whatever I can do. A male from Africa who went missing. Like, I try and spread it around that it's not like, hey, another pretty white girl. Oh, a white girl went missing. Oh, white girl went missing. Like, I try and not do that and perpetuate the stereotype because I've seen it so much. It's really not very nice. Marjorie said, "I'm so sorry that Mrs. Ping is still feeling poorly. Sending healing vibes. I hope she's going to get better eventually. Soon is what we hope." Betty says, "We support you, Ping. I love you, my friend. It's good to see you. Thank you." Laurie Page is who I was typing. Like, no one covered her case. It made me so upset. A lot of people wrote her off as a runaway, but to me, something sounded wrong about her case the entire time. The fact that the fact that it was her school teacher that came out to advocate for her always felt strange to me. The fact that it was her school teacher and a local church. I'm not sure what the word is. A church. I don't know what the title is, but the guy who runs the local church. Um, why these people and not her own family? Why was it these two? And that's what always stuck with me about Laurie Page. It just didn't seem right. Pastor. Yeah, he's a pastor. Yeah, the pastor never knew Laurie, never met her, never didn't even know who she was. So you have a pastor who never met Lori and her school teacher who were the main advocates for her, not her family. It's very strange. Wait, hey, my friend, how are you? Did something happen? You're on in the morning here. Yes. Yes. A meteorite. That's what happened. A meteorite. We are now currently living in the Matrix. The Earth has been destroyed. A meteorite came down, and now we all live in the internet. That's what happened. SPM said, I noticed that American YouTubers are now saying allegedly about the accused a lot. Um, they sort of always did that. I think a few of them have been slapped over the wrist by YouTube, because you need to report correctly. Someone is always assumed to be innocent until proven guilty. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what your opinion of them is. You must abide by the court, and that is still true even in America. You are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So that's probably why they're doing it more. But it's sort of always been a thing in true crime, where people say allegedly a lot. It's about time. Damn meteorites. They're always taking our jobs and stealing our women or something. What are they doing? They're doing something. They're invading our country over the border of space. That's what they're doing. Damn meteorites. They come around twice a year. You never know when they're going to attack. Have you seen that though? There was a really big one in where was it? Hey, someone's being annoying. Hi person that's being annoying. Where is it? Yeah, meteorite. Queensland? There was a really good one last night. No, not KM. That's not a real thing. That's not a real thing, Ping. There was this giant, like, big blue flash over the skies that happened the other night. I wonder if I can show you. Here.
A meteor has created a spectacle in the night sky across Queensland's north and far north. The space rock isn't believed to have left any damage after crashing into the atmosphere at up to 150,000 kilometres an hour.
An explosion of blue and green, followed by a sonic boom. Whoa! Just before 9:30 last night, the sky lit up over much of Queensland's north. A meteor confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere, likely over the Northern Territory.
Probably broken off an asteroid in the asteroid belt, that area between Mars and Jupiter.
Streaking across the sky before breaking apart and bursting into a blaze of light. Its debris likely landing in the ocean just off the east coast. From Mackay to Cooktown, the spectacle's so widespread across the state, many saw the explosion some 3 minutes before hearing it.
Because it's traveling over 100,000 kilometers an hour, 10 seconds is a huge chunk of land.
But experts say there was nothing to be afraid of, as space rocks this small don't pack a punch, predicted to be just 0.5 metre to 1 metre wide.
There wouldn't be a crater, there wouldn't be scorched earth. They don't even land hot. It actually takes a huge amount of size to do any sort of damage.
In fact, meteors of this size hit the Earth around once a month.
However, most of the Earth is uninhabited, right? Lots of places with ocean, not a lot of people. So something like this happening in a populated area on a Saturday night is exceptionally special to have.
Claire Todd Hunter, 9 News.
Yeah, isn't that pretty cool, huh? I thought that was pretty cool. I've seen a couple of them in Victoria in my time down here, but that was a pretty good one. I haven't seen one that kind of, you know, exciting for a while. I'm sure people got a kick. So apparently people saw it and they heard the boom like minutes later because of how like the difference between the action and the sound traveling. 3 minutes, that would be a weird experience. You see the light and then like minutes later you get the whack. It's very interesting. Sending love to Mrs. Ping. I'm sure I will pass that to her. I'm sure she would appreciate it. Wuno still said, remember that huge one over Russia years ago? Yeah, that one that actually like took out buildings and like smash windows and things like that. It was really bad. It was quite a bad meteorite. Probably one of the was it a meteorite or asteroid? I'm not sure which one, but it did a lot of damage. And it's interesting that Russia often gets some of these really catastrophic space asteroid or space rock events. They've had several over the history of mankind, including like they got like a giant crater in the middle of the like wilderness that they're like, yeah, I think this happened like 12 million years ago, but we're not sure how to fix it. It's just a giant hole in the ground. So yeah, it happens. Yeah, we should get out of here. Oh my god, it's almost midnight. It's been a long day, everyone. A long day. I've had a very long day today. So we went and got our I went and got my hair cut for trial. So got it all shaved off again. So it's all back to being um less hair than it used to be. So yeah. So there you go. You can see my crazy long hair. It's so funny. I get so many people who message me and they're like, "You have such short hair." I'm like, "Are you sure about that? Do you watch the shows enough? Have you seen how long my stupid hair is?" They're always like, "You got such neat hair." I'm like, "You wait till I take the elastic out. I look like a troll doll." Actually, it's really washed at the moment. I'll show you. There you go. You can see how long it gets, how long it is when it's not tied up. It's it's actually pretty long. It used to be way longer. In the pandemic, it was down past my chest, and then I took it to the hairdresser, and they're like, "We're gonna cut that." They're like, "That's not good." They're like, "You don't need this hair." They're like, "We're gonna do like a before and after on you. We're gonna put you in a magazine because we have never seen anything like it." The girls at the hair place were like, "That's not cool." So they gave me the haircut that I have now, where it's there's nothing underneath. Basically, it's an undercut. Yeah. So there you go. There you go. You can see how long and crazy it gets on my absolute monstrous forehead. Because apparently that's what I've developed in my old age. I've developed a forehead the size of a cantaloupe, and it looks worse when I have my hair down. All right. Haha, Laura T says, "Thank you so much for all the hard work." I do it for you guys. I really do. I don't do it for a reward or anything like that. I've told you guys if this was all about money, I would have been gone 18 months ago. I do it for the love of the stories and um because I enjoy it. I like coming here and talking to you guys and sharing stories from my home country and talking about weird stuff that happens around the world. It's a lot of fun. All right. Yeah, it did. When they took that bottom layer off, it felt so much better because it was just getting really tangled in the heat. Sorry, I'm going to tie it back up. There we go. So there you go. Back to being nice and neat. Yeah, it was like you can see how thick my hair is, and that's only the top. Imagine if it was still growing underneath. Like this it was just stupid thick. Even my hairdresser, every time I go back, she's like, your hair grows like a weed." She goes, "How when are you gonna start having like receding hair?" She's like, "That'll be good because it'll be less work for me." I'm like, "Please don't tell me that's happening. I'll have to get some like keeps for men or something." Um, so I will see you guys later. I'm gonna go eat my pizza. I got pizza tonight because I was a good boy. So I'm gonna go eat the rest of my pizza and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll probably be wait, hold on. Let me check something, then I'll be back tomorrow. Hey, I love you all very much. Have a great night. I will be back tomorrow. By the way, I want to know if my friend Vicky K's out there. I haven't seen her in ages, and I'm worried that there's something that she's not well or something. So, Vicky, if you're out there, my friend, reach out to me. I hope you're doing okay. I haven't seen her in months. Like, yeah, I haven't seen her in a long time, and I know people ebb and flow and come out of true crime and stuff, but I'm worried about her. So I hope she's okay though. So Taz says nearly time for the Laurie Daybell verdict watch. I think you're going to get your verdict pretty quick today. I think by the time court opens in the morning, by lunchtime, you guys are all going to get called in for a verdict. I think that's going to happen by about lunchtime. See if Ping's right. If I'm right, you can buy me a cookie. Gayla says it's 2:44 in the afternoon here, so I'm about to pop out. Okay, guys. Hey, I love you all so much. I'm gonna go rest for the night and chill out for a bit. It's been a long day. I've been up since about 5 a.m. So almost 19 hours now. So I am gonna get out of here. Taz says I'm thinking about 5 a.m. Australian time. Yeah, 5, 6 a.m. something like that. Yeah, you guys are going to get a verdict. It will not stretch into day 2, I don't think. I think this is going to be pretty open and shut. Hopefully, I don't jinx it. Woman of Steel said it's going to be a great day for us, not so good for Laurie. Maybe she'll regret being her own counsel. Maybe she'll regret. Maybe she won't do it again. That'd be good. All right. Hey, I love you all so much. Peace out. Have a great day out there in America if you're waking up just now. Have a great Wednesday out there. Wait, Wednesday? Tuesday. No? Yes. Tuesday. Have a great Tuesday out there. And I'll see you for a live show tonight on Tuesday. Love you all. Good night, everyone. And remember, please view this video if you haven't already and you only caught the end. Go back to the beginning and please listen to what I have to say. It's really poignant, and you must, listen and understand what I'm trying to tell you. Good night. Love you all. Bye bye.